Lock in all sports, all plays, all 5% best bets from now until Super Bowl 58 on February 11, 2024. From your favorite WagerTalk or Sports Memo handicapper for only $11.99 versus a regular price of $19.99 for a total savings of $800. This limited time super discount basically is 52 weeks at $23 per week, less than the price of one 4% play, coming out to only $3.29 per day. With the cost of a 30-day all-access priced at $2.99, it is almost like getting 8 30-day all-access passes at no additional cost. As an added bonus, your all-access starts immediately, so the sooner you buy before Super Bowl, the more additional days you get for free.
Welcome, everybody, to Wager Talk Today. I am Lawrence Presman. He is Teddy Covers, and you're watching the best daily sports betting show on the planet. Teddy, I had another bad day in NFL. It's been an NFL playoff nightmare for the Prez, and I do want to get that out right at the top of the show because, you know, I've been talking about my college hoops and my NBA and how great it's been, and it has been ridiculously amazing, but my NFL playoffs, I mean, the worst of my life, flat out, brother, flat out. How did you do yesterday?
I only had one play. I had Kansas City. It won. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't easy. But it got there when all was said and done. We'll take it. So we won yesterday in the NFL. I've been running pretty good in hoops too, Prez. I'm the number one handicapper at Sports Memo and Wager Talk and net basketball profits over the last 365 days, and it's been that way all month. So the hoops have been running real good, and the NFL won yesterday, so no complaints here.
Excellent stuff. Who's on the show today, bro? What are we talking about?
Well, let's see. On the Monday edition of Wager Talk Today, you guys know who we're going to open with. Marco D'Angelo at the top of the show. Marco's going to talk Iowa State and Texas Tech in college hoops, and Sacramento and Minnesota, the Kings and the T-Wolves in the NBA. Tony Mejia is going to join us next. He's going to talk about the Pistons and the Mavs in NBA action, as well as Orlando and Philadelphia. Drew Martin, our third guest today, he's going to talk Virginia and Syracuse, Iowa State and Texas Tech in college hoops action. I've got an NBA big game breakdown as well. We'll talk the Brooklyn Nets tonight as they take on the LA Lakers without LeBron and AD. So note what we don't have today, Prez. We don't have wall-to-wall Super Bowl talk. What we have is a bunch of talk about games that are going on tonight. College hoops, NBA, the world doesn't stop because the Super Bowl is 2 weeks from now.
Speaking of the Super Bowl, Teddy, before we bring Marco in, you know, a lot of people get really excited about the Super Bowl. I get really excited for a completely different reason. It is the least important game of the year from my perspective. I could care less who wins, unless obviously I'm betting it. And for me, I'm just thankful that it's over. And I know that sounds terrible because I get so excited when it starts. But the NFL season, from a handicapping perspective, is like Las Vegas. I can't wait for my trip to begin, and I can't wait for my trip to end. So, yeah, finally, my Sundays will be back, Teddy, and that is worthy of celebration. Do you watch the Super Bowl? Are you one of those? Are you gripped? Or are you at a party and socializing?
I mean, I don't tend to be watching this. You know, I tend to be at a party for Super Bowl. All right, I don't been a ham. There was one I can think of 2 or 3 times where I watched Super Bowl quietly, like I'm going to watch a normal NFL Sunday. But yeah, we'll be out and about. It's Christmas for sports bettors. It's very different for people that do it every day. If you do it every day all year long, the Super Bowl is another game, and it's 2 weeks of hype for one game, so it's a little bit much, you know. For your casual fan, for your casual bettor, look, it's Christmas. It's Christmas in February. As a longtime bettor, we understand that. We'll cater. There'll be plenty of Super Bowl talk over the next 2 weeks. Just don't expect a ton of it today. I will talk a little bit when it comes to what bettors learn. But this is not going to be a show that's wall-to-wall Super Bowl coverage for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You'll get hoops every day, NHL every day, et cetera, et cetera.
Dwayne Bryant's in the chat room. Dwayne, we love you, man. He writes, props to the Prez for acknowledging his recent NFL struggles. Not everyone would do that. Dwayne, if you only knew how ad nauseum I've been about my college and NBA, I mean, like to the point where Teddy is like heaving on the side. It has been horrific promotion from me every day, all day long. I gotta say when I suck too. Marco D'Angelo, 5% play on the Kansas City Chiefs. Never in doubt. I mean, not for a minute. How are you, my friend?
Well, it definitely was a fun game to watch. And, kudos to both quarterbacks, Burrows and Mahomes. That is the new rivalry. There is no question about it. Those two are going to give us a lot of excitement for the next decade in the NFL. And I got to give credit to Joe Burrow, though. Those two throws that he had yesterday on third down, to the one to Higgins and the one to Chase, just unfreaking believable. I mean, you just had to stop in just watch in awe. But what a great game. And it's a shame it come down to a bonehead play. It was the right call with the roughing, unnecessary roughness on Mahomes at the end of the game. How do you go brain dead in a spot like that and, commit that kind of penalty that gave them the field goal opportunity? But I'll take it.
So I watched him crying, the interview where he was crying on the sidelines after the game. And then he had another defender with him. I forget who it was. Who was standing up. BJ Hall was standing with him as he was making his post-game comments to reporters. And he's like, look, I was going full speed. What we think is easy, looking in slow motion, he was going full speed. He didn't know where the sideline was, and he pushed it. And he just tapped him a little bit out of bounds. Obviously a huge call, not the only call that went in Kansas City's favor down the stretch. We'll talk plenty about that in what bettors learned. But let's get into it. Got college hoops and NBA on tap for tonight. You want to talk about Iowa State and Texas Tech? Look at the WagerTalk live odds screen right now. I'm seeing basically Iowa State -1 total. Anywhere 129.5, 130, 130.5. Let's call it 130 for the total. What are we going to do with the Cyclones and the Red Raiders?
Well, Teddy, college basketball second meetings. I love to look at these games. Conference play is when I excel in college basketball. I'll admit I'm not a fan of college basketball in late November and early December, but once we start conference play, that's when I, get excited about college hoops. And here's one of those perfect examples. You look at this one, John Q. Public out of the gates going to look at Iowa State, 15-5 on the season, playing Texas Tech, who's 11-10, and who just had lost 8 in a row prior to Saturday. And the lines basically picked the winner. You said it's -1 for Iowa State. That looks way too easy just to jump on and grab Iowa State. Want to make it even sweeter to grab Iowa State? How about the first meeting? They beat them by 34 points. Now, I always say, revenge is the most overused term in sports betting, but there's certain spots that I like them. Like yesterday in the football game, you remember who ended your season. Kansas City lost in the AFC Championship game last year. You also are going to remember when you lose by 34 points in season. And I'm going to go ahead and go with Texas Tech because I like the spot. Iowa State had to travel on Saturday. Iowa State played in that Big 12 SEC challenge that they had over the weekend, and they went to Missouri to play. Now they lost that game. They got to turn around one day in between, go back, get into conference play, and play a team that they beat by 34 points, and they're going on the road. That's easy for them to feel, hey, we just got to show up and we're going to win this game. And put the ribbon on the package here. Look who they play next. They got a big game with Kansas on deck. You want to talk about a look-ahead spot? Then I look at Texas Tech. They finally got that losing streak snapped. And if you look at their last 3 games, they've played really good defense. 3 back, 42% they allowed. Then they allowed 37 and 37 in back-to-back games. So I like the way they're going. I'm going to look for them to get the win. And then with this one here, let's go ahead and call the home club here to get the win. I'm taking Texas Tech plus the 1, but basically we're looking for them to win outright because 1's not very much there on the point spread.
So here's my follow-up question. I mean, doesn't Texas Tech stink? They lost 8 in a row. They beat the worst team in the SEC. And I've been fading LSU game after game. I couldn't fade LSU because I didn't trust Texas Tech to win there. And they beat the worst team, and now they have to beat a good team. They're not playing good ball, are they? How do we trust this team? They're not any good.
Well, the two things that I did point out, Teddy, I like the way that they've played defense in the last 3 games. And you're right, this team has sucked all year. But if you go back to the beginning of the season, things that we look at, this was a team that only returned 1 starter. And you see teams go through progressions, and I'm looking for this team to be better in the second half as they start to get it. And I think by looking at what they've done defensively the last 3 games, that maybe they are starting to play better and put it together. And again, it's just the spot. You've already beat this team by 34. You got Kansas on deck. Bad travel spot from Saturday to Monday on the road, both games on the road. I'm playing the spot here. All of those factors in there.
Marco D'Angelo joining us, everyone. And I got knocked out. I had internet issues. Well, these are things that I don't know how to deal with. When you have them, you have them. It's one of those things. Marco, man, firstly, outstanding run, dude. Phenomenal couple of weeks of betting. Your last 16 days, you've won 30. You've lost 12. 30 and 12. You're up 5,200 plus units. $5,200 net profit for your clients. Man, you are seeing things well, dude. Life must be good at home.
Life is good at home. Yes, very much. When I'm winning, it seems like there's more packages coming through Amazon, and the wife's happy as well. So everybody's happy.
Dude, I can't handle losing. Everybody knows this. I was invited to a party. I went to a birthday party on Friday night. I needed 9 points on an over in a college basketball game. I had 4 minutes to spare. They were the ugliest 4 minutes ever. People were coming up to me. What's wrong? What? You don't look right. You don't look right. I didn't get my 9 points. I sat around miserable until the edibles hit, and then, well, I partied. But man, without those edibles, I think I would have been hysterical all night. Like, honestly, I go 3-1 and I lose my shit when I lose that one game. Marco, we're talking Sacramento, Minnesota tonight in the NBA. I'm in play on this game. It is $9 Mondays, by the way, everybody. We'll talk about that in a sec. I want to know where you're going.
Well, first of all, this is one of those back-to-back, same location, same team NBA things. I'm not a big fan of these. I didn't mind when they used to have the home and homes, but I don't like the back-to-back at the same location. But I'm looking at this one, and if you dig deeper into the first meeting on Saturday, Minnesota had the better of it and only won by 7. And what I'm looking at in that game is Sacramento basically played about as bad as you could play. They only shot in that game 27% from 3, connecting on just 9 of 33, while Minnesota would hit 52% of their plays or their shots. And from 3-point range, they hit 46%, going 17 of 37. With such a big discrepancy, still was only a 7-point game. Then I look at the scheduling setup of it and what Sacramento was coming off of in heading into this game. They had just finished a homestand. That was their first game on the road, which generally I like to look at teams that first road game, but they were coming off beating Memphis by 33 2 games back. And then they lost to Toronto. I can understand the loss to Toronto after just the blowout 133-100 win over a good Memphis team. And then they took it out on the road and had another bad game. I look for a good effort out of Sacramento tonight. In Minnesota, they have their moments, but I'm just not looking for them to get 2 in a row. And then I've got couple angles here that favor Sacramento in this one. This is an NBA trend. NBA road teams who are playing with revenge for a loss versus an opponent and are off 2 or more upset losses. Sacramento was the favorite on Saturday, and they were the favorite against Toronto as well. If you blindly play these teams in revenge, over the last 5 seasons, it's been a 67% winning angle, 42 and 21. And on the flip side, Sacramento individually, last 3 seasons, when they're on the road playing with same season revenge, they're 22 and 10 against the spread. In a game where it's just pick the winner, I'm going to go ahead and pick that winner, and it is Sacramento tonight.
So let me start with this. I put up a free play talking about the Kings tonight. It is also a client play for me this evening. Visit my page for my analysis. So I'm with you on Sacramento. That being said, there was one thing in this game that concerned me, and I'm going to ask you about it. Minnesota's playing good ball right now. You know, they played good ball since Karl Anthony Towns got hurt, and the markets have been very reluctant to price Minnesota as a good team. They won 3. They said, I don't know if they want to win 2 in a row. They won 3 in a row already. They won 5 of their last 6. Anthony Edwards is on a tear. This is not a team that's playing mediocre basketball right now. They're playing good basketball. Does that concern you? It concerned me.
They are playing good basketball right now, Teddy, and because they were playing so bad earlier in the season, the market is slower to adjust to them. But let's be honest about it. The teams that they beat recently, other than the Memphis game, they beat Sacramento on Saturday, and I said the reasons why I gave Sacramento a pass there. But they beat Toronto, who's one of the most up and down Jekyll and Hyde team in the NBA. And then they played Houston twice. Houston's not a good basketball team. They win one, lose one. That was one of those home and homes, the traditional back-to-backs. So, yes, I agree they're playing better basketball right now. But to me, it's just tough to beat these teams 2 games in a row when you're playing these back-to-back games. And I like Sacramento in the series. But, yes, Minnesota is playing better. They might be one of those play-on teams the second half of the season. So often we see a team that's so bad at the beginning of the season that everybody remembers what they saw early and they just can't adjust their power ratings moving forward. So it is something to look at for future. But I'm just glad that you even cross-examine yourself.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Marco. Well said. Marco D'Angelo, everyone. It's $9 Mondays. Anyone's plays $9 over at WagerTalk. Marco, I know you have got to be one of our featured handicappers with this insane run that you're on. 30 wins, 12 losses in the last 16 days. What do you got for our clients?
Well, today, instead of giving you one play for $9, I'm going to give you my entire card. And the reason I do that so often, I'm here on Mondays. I give away a lot of my plays on the Monday show. And by the way, I know Teddy's keeping count. 21-9 with the last 30 plays we gave out here on WagerTalk today. So one of the plays that I have did on the show today is already in my package today. So you'll get everything I have today for $9. So head on over to WagerTalk and check out everybody else. Guys, there are a lot of people on some nice red hot runs. You, Prez, Teddy included. And I know Tony, it's coming up next, has nailed a couple 5% this week. So he's seeing it well too. So head over to WagerTalk and Sports Memo.
Awesome stuff, Marco D. John Rivers, I read your comment in the chat room, and I agree, but we can't get into it because we've got a hard out. Teddy, my brother, I know you're looking green today. Very weird coloring. I don't know what's going on, but you've never looked better. What did we learn in the wonderful? No. B6. It's B6 today. It's whatever you want. Go.
Yeah, Monday. We talk a little bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books, a recap of what happened over the weekend. Certainly when it comes to football betting, the focus here has got to be on the Super Bowl and the championship games this past week. We're doing an basketball/hockey centered show. We got to talk some football. And look, let me make it real clear. Not great for the house yesterday, not in either game. It was all Eagles money. All right, Eagles money was pouring in, pros and Joes. They were -1, -1.5. They were bet up to -2.5, even -3s out there for a little while. There was under money that came in on the Philly game as well, 46.5 to 44.5. The books lost side, the books lost total. It was not a good result for the house. The Brock Purdy injury disaster for books in Vegas. The late game was all Kansas City money. They were +1. They were -2 at the close. So that was KC money flowing in that ball game. 2 favorites, 2 unders for yesterday. For the books, they were saved. It wasn't 2 favorites, 2 overs, and the public wins everything. And the Wong teaser finally lost. We're talking about the positive expectation teasers yesterday. It was on the 2 dogs, and obviously with one of the 2 dogs getting blown out, it wasn't a pretty scenario. But, we want to talk about how bad one team can get hosed. I had Kansas City yesterday. I could complain. Not going to complain at all. But Cincinnati got no chance to play for home field advantage because the game got canceled after on Monday Night Football. The game's tied 20-20 in the 4th. Cincy gets an offensive holding. They get a defensive pass interference. That's going to call the other way. They get off the field on 3rd down, and the play was whistled dead in case he gets a do-over. And then their defensive holding penalty gives him another 1st down. Since he gets an intentional grounding with Peering right there. There was the obvious block in the back on the long punt return that set up the final score. There was like 8 holds on the home scrambles, none of which got called. And, of course, the flag came for the late hit. Yeah, the Burrow 4th quarter pick was a big difference. But the flags and the calls were every bit as much of a factor. NFL rigged was trending on Twitter. Last night. Cincy 9 penalties, Kansas City 4. The Bengals penalties. They came when it mattered most. Cash a ticket with the Chiefs. But if I was Cincy, I would not be amused. Bengals bettors, not amused either. Prez? There you have it.
Teddy, listen, man, we had somebody in the chat room point out that crazy Laker loss to Boston was a bad beat. I had a tough one in hockey, man. I think Minnesota Wild in regulation. They were up 2-1. The tying goal at around the 1 minute mark. So, yeah, that was a bad beat as well. And
Lakers
Teddy,
covered against Boston.
Yeah, I didn't even. I paid no attention. I wasn't on that game. I'm just reading what Benny 8 wrote. I do know what happened though at the end of the game. What was I going to say? Oh yeah. And Kelce, my man, Travis, half a freaking yard. And I go break even yesterday. He ended up with 78 yards receiving. I needed 79. And he would have had it, except they blew some play dead after the play bloody well happened. Zach Taylor lost his mind yesterday. Tony Mejia joining us. Tony, welcome to the show, man. We love having you. It's been a while. You're back. You're ready to go.
Good to see you, boys. Big weekend for the Sports Are Fixed crowd.
For what? Oh, the Sports Are Fixed. You want to elaborate?
I mean, just the Laker game. That's what everybody was talking about because LeBron got jobbed, and he definitely fed into it. And it has been a tough month for him getting calls late in games. I think he's hinting that referees are ageists. As far as yesterday went, everybody thinks that the Bengals should have won that game and got hosed.
Well, I mean, yeah, those people are insane. And as for LeBron James, I'm thinking that he might be good for ratings, not bad for ratings. But what do I know? What do I know? Okay, let's get into it, man. Detroit and Dallas playing tonight. You like the total in this game. It is 229.5. What are you doing, over or under?
Oh, definitely under. But it doesn't really matter whether Luka Doncic plays or not. He's listed as questionable with a true ankle sprain that has kept him out. When he does play, the Mavericks are heavy ISO with him making all the decisions. When he doesn't play, obviously you have one of the best players in the league out. And the Pistons were probably my biggest regret this past weekend because I really trusted them against Houston on Saturday night. They were playing a team missing its top 3 starters. Alpi Şengün joined Kevin Porter Jr. and Green out of the lineup, and they were up 14 late in the first quarter and ended up losing both the first half game down at the half and lost the game altogether. So they are not playing good basketball. Really, their front line is very young. Unders have come in 4 of their last 6 games. So this is a low side play for me.
Look at the under in Detroit and Dallas, a game where offense may not be on full display. Let's talk about the Magic and the 76ers. Certainly Orlando has been a pretty good road dog in recent weeks, but Philly's been a pretty good home favorite. The Sixers as hot as any team in the NBA right now. They're -9. There were 9.5 earlier this morning. Most of those are gone right now. Let's call it Philly 9. Total 230.5 against the under the radar Magic.
Yeah, let's put an asterisk on this and say, why don't you wait till Joel Embiid is fully cleared to play, because then you'll probably get a 10. But yes, the fact that he's listed as questionable after torching Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets on Saturday has this down from 9.5 to 9. But the bottom line is this is a emotional letdown game for Philadelphia, even though they've been lights out over the past week and a half. And the fact is they played Brooklyn at home. That was a huge game. Kyrie Irving and James Harden and dueling down the stretch ended up being a Philly 137-133 win. And clearly the MVP battle on Saturday with Jokic and the Nuggets in town. So this is lowly Orlando coming in for the first of 2. They'll play again on Wednesday. I just think Philly lets its guard down a little bit. And conversely, you got Orlando starting up a 4-game road trip. They'll be locked in to play. Their starters were terrible on Saturday night in a loss to the Bulls. In fact, it almost took the third unit to really try to rescue that game. They certainly rescued my over with Mo Wagner getting hot. But his brother Franz is the key to Orlando. The fact that he can swing the ball so well, set everybody else up. Banchero's playing well. It's a big game for Markelle Fultz, who's playing well in his return to Philly. So I think the Magic will be locked in.
Teddy,
the last time these two teams met, it was 133 to 103. Philly just blew them out. The previous meeting, Orlando hung within the number, but there wasn't, I would call a competitive game wire to wire. Aren't the Sixers just better than this team, or not so much?
No, the Sixers are a lot better than the Magic. This is, though, a situation where Orlando is playing as well as they have been all season because they're as healthy as they've been in 3 years. They got Jonathan Isaac back in the mix, so that creates some depth help issues. And you've got lots of bodies that you can throw at Embiid now, presuming that he plays with starter Wendell Carter Jr. and Mo Bamba and Bol. So you can go deep into your front court rotation. And again, you're basically asking Orlando to stay within double digits.
Tony Mejia joining us, everyone, on a 10-3, 5% max play run. Tony, you're going to have a 5% up for tomorrow, but you're going to put it up today to take advantage of the $9 Tuesday so our clients can get it for cheaper. Tell us what's going on. What do you have to promote?
Yeah, we'll do that later today. Obviously, we need to wait till lines to come out and need to do some analysis to see what the best play on the hardwood is tomorrow, because it could be NBA, it could be college. Yesterday, I hit with the Cavaliers and got in on the early number early. In fact, we had to take the package down because the prediction was Kawhi and Paul George won't play. And a lot of our clients were able to capitalize on that on a game that was a 30-point blowout at halftime and ended up catching comfortably. So we like that. We do not like sweating out games like I know the one Teddy was talking about on TikTok with Washington and Arizona State. That's the first of this run. And I was on the Huskies there, so you might imagine my nerves in that game, Teddy, watching it melt down the stretch. So it's been a good run. The Saturday night 5% was great. San Diego and San Francisco went well over the post total. 5% have been good since I came on board. It's been a great January. I think up over 42 units. So hoping to close it out in strong fashion.
Wonderful stuff, Tony Mejia, everybody. You're watching Wager Talk Today. Let's go to a commercial. Teddy covers his big game breakdown. Drew Martin. And, of course, if we get 100 likes, no negotiation, we will have a daily presidential address.
Lock in all sports, all plays, all 5% best bets from now until Super Bowl 58 on February 11, 2024. From your favorite WagerTalk or Sports Memo handicapper for only $11.99 versus the regular price of $19.99 for a total savings of $800. This limited time super discount basically is 52 weeks at $23 per week, less than the price of one 4% play, coming out to only $3.29 per day. With the cost of a 30-day all-access priced at $2.99, it is almost like getting 8 30-day all-access passes at no additional cost. As an added bonus, your all-access starts immediately, so the sooner you buy before Super Bowl, the more additional days you get for free.
It is time for today's big game breakdown. Let's go to the association on Monday night and talk about Brooklyn and the LA Lakers right now. Look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. Let's call it Brooklyn -9, total of 230. There's a lot of chatter about what's happened in terms of late game calls for the Lakers in recent weeks. The statement from the NBA, the Referees Association, quote, "Like everyone else, referees make mistakes. We made one at the end of last night's game that is gut-wrenching for us. This play will weigh heavily and cause sleepless nights as we strive to be the best referees we can be." Of course, they lost by 4 spread-covering fashion against Boston. The 4th time in the last couple of weeks that the Lakers believe that a late game call went against them in what became a loss. Anthony Davis, quote, "We got cheated tonight, honestly. It's unacceptable." Darvin Ham, the head coach, "I don't want us to see another 2-minute report. They can save it. It does no one any good." LeBron James, I don't understand what we're doing. I watch basketball every single day. I watch games every single day, and I don't see it happening to nobody else. It's just weird." Of course, let's not forget that LeBron and Patrick Beverley shot 10 of 19 for three-point range versus the Celtics, and the rest of the team went 2 for 23 from three-point range against the Celtics. Meanwhile, the Nets, coming off a game where they hit a season-high 22 three-pointers against the Knicks on Saturday. Now, lots of missing pieces tonight. We're not going to have LeBron or AD for LA. That's why this line is sitting at -9 for the Nets. The Nets aren't going to have TJ Warren, who's been a key role player for them. They may not have Ben Simmons this evening. And this is one of these scenarios. You know, again, Darvin Ham quote, "We compete as hard as we did tonight to start this trip. We're going to be okay. We're going to be okay." I believe that for the LA Lakers. I know they're without their 2 stars. This is a exhale spot for Brooklyn. I think LA comes to play tonight. They have certainly said the type of quotes that come out before a game where a team kind of plays like their hair's on fire. Give me the Lakers +9. I think it's too many points. I expect a competitive game in Brooklyn tonight. LA plus the points. There's your big game break. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Teddy, go figure. A bunch of NBA players complaining and whining because they can't put a team away when they're supposed to in the first damn place. So LeBron's all upset that they aren't getting the calls in the late minutes. Maybe he shouldn't take days off when they're going into a playoff race. Maybe he should sink some baskets prior to the 2-minute mark. Maybe they should shut up and start beating teams. But that's so not basketball, Teddy. Drew Martin joining us, everyone. Drew, we freaking love you. Well, I do. Teddy, he's like, "Oh, God, Drew Martin again." And I tried to tell him. I tried. Anyway, Drew, before we get into your games for today, you and Teddy, you guys are still doing the opening line report?
That we are, Prez, and good to be on with you, buddy. Yeah, we got, of course, recap of conference championship, getting us ready for the Super Bowl coming up at just the 1 o'clock Eastern hour, 10 a.m. Pacific here, Prez. And we'll be going for the next couple weeks here, getting ready for props next week. Nice. And then, of course, recap of the Super Bowl and the futures outlook for the offseason. So NFL opening line report on the WagerTalk YouTube channel is going really strong right now. It's a great time to tune in here. Super Bowl time, Prez.
Excellent stuff. Maximilian writes, "Just because he doesn't play doesn't mean he shouldn't be getting calls." That's not my point. My point is, win the damn game. Win it. Just win the freaking game. Who cares about calls in the last 2 minutes? Be up by 20. Be up by 20 with 2 to go.
Lawrence,
sorry, Ted.
You sound much smarter when you're talking about games that you actually watch. All right, they won the game, but they didn't get the call. He went to the line. He went to the basket with the game tied. He got whacked. They didn't call it. The game went to overtime because he didn't get the call.
I
and
know.
Ended up losing. But LeBron James did everything you're supposed to do in regulation.
But he didn't do everything he was supposed to do because they could have been up by 50 if, these games, it's one of those must-win games. I didn't win. The kicker missed the kick. Well, then score a touchdown so you don't need a kicker. Syracuse plus 5.5 against Virginia. Total of 132.5. Drew, talk to me. How do we bet this game?
Love listening to you two, Prez. Kind of a tough transition here to some ACC basketball. But Virginia and Syracuse, guys, starting us off prime time, ESPN. We saw Virginia minus 5.5 here, Prez. Now they're pretty much down to 5 market wide when you look at WagerTalk.com live odds. 132.5 being the total. And, just laying points on the road in the ACC, I just think is, kind of the sentiment here in the marketplace. People not wanting to lay too much. That's why I would say a little bit of money here coming towards the home dog in Syracuse. Syracuse this year, Prez, not one of Jim Boeheim's better teams, in my opinion. And they're up against Virginia, who has won 3 straight against the spread, 6 straight overall. So they're playing some pretty good basketball under Tony Bennett, of course, playing that pack line defense. One of the best defenses in college basketball, pretty much year in, year out. This year, pretty solid as well. They're 16-3 on the year. But sidewise, I think it's a little bit difficult. Actually, I would probably kind of lean here with where the market's going in Syracuse. But even more so, guys, I was looking towards this over. College basketball, you really want the trend to be, on your side. The trend is your friend in sports betting, even to the 10th degree here with college basketball totals. And sure enough, Syracuse, Prez, is 9-1 to the over their last 10 games. So for whatever reason, they're playing a little bit more up-tempo, trying to score a little more. And sure enough, Virginia, their last 3 games have all hit towards the over. We get a little bit of foul fest range in the point spread as well. Virginia can hit their free throws. So I know Virginia playing that plodding, kind of slow brand of basketball. It's kind of tough to bet these overs when a team does that, but still, I think the trend kind of overtakes that, and the trend is to the over here. 9-1 their last 10 for Syracuse to the over, last 3 for Virginia to the over. So seeing it 132, the low water mark here, 132.5 at some sports books. I like Syracuse and Virginia to the over tonight.
I still remember that 48-34 Virginia-Syracuse game.
Yeah.
That stands out to me. That said, the last 5 in this series have all gone over the total, so it's not just the 2 teams trending over right now. The series itself has trended over. I want to ask you about I call them scramble points at the end of a game, because to me, that's a huge factor in this one. If Syracuse is close enough or if it's tight enough that they have to foul in the final minute and then Syracuse can jack up some threes, you can get 10, 15, 20 points in the final minute. When you get those scramble points and the game is close enough for the team that's trailing to start fouling. Does this game get there if we don't have scramble points? Is this maybe we want to play a first half over because we're worried about that consideration? Because that to me is the biggest question. If you get scramble points, I'm with you. If you don't, I've got my concerns.
Yeah, you're calling it scramble points. I usually call it foul fest points. However you really want to characterize it, Teddy. It's not something where, I would say, hey, we have to have this in order to make the bet. It's more something I look at as just, hey, is this point spread 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? If it's in that range, it's got that possibility. Now, one thing I do, Teddy, with college basketball totals, as I'm watching the games, I do take notes of, hey, what head coach starts doing, the foul fest, what we're actually talking about here, when they're down 5 points. Are they starting to do that at 30 seconds? Are they starting to do that at 1 minute? Some coaches will do it at like the 2-minute mark. And if you have an under and a head coach that's down, by 7, 8, 9 points, starts fouling with 2 minutes left, you are in big trouble because like you're talking about, you could go 10, 15, 20 points really, really quick. So you want to always know that going in, that if a team is an underdog by 5 points, 6, 7, 8 points, and that coach likes to foul early, in terms of early, like with 2 minutes left on the clock, watch out betting those teams under. But I guess to answer your question, I just kind of use it as something in my back pocket. It's not something like, oh, this can definitely happen. I think that's a little bit too hard to predict.
Drew Martin joining us, everyone. It's $9 Mondays at WagerTalk. Drew, what do you got going with the clients?
Prez, I'm actually passing today. It was a rough weekend for me, man. So, hey, it's part of this business. Lost on Cincinnati, so I could blame it on the refs, but I've been doing this long enough, and it is what it is. Took the loss there. College basketball was a down weekend, the first one pretty much all season. So looking to regroup today, short card, kind of talking the games that I touched here on the show with you and on the college basketball show. At 2:00 Eastern time right here on the WagerTalk YouTube channel as well, and regroup today, and I'll be back at it tomorrow with the clients.
Outstanding stuff. Drew, no follow-up on this one, so Teddy's going to remain a little quiet. No pressure here. Texas Tech -1.5. It was +1. So there's clearly money coming in on Texas Tech. They're playing Iowa State at 128.5 is the total, bet down from 130 in 1.5 minutes. What do you got? What do you like in this game?
Yeah, it's interesting to see the market here loving the Red Raiders. Of course, being at home in Lubbock can be a tough place to play. But Prez, I don't know that I agree with this market move. I could see why. I mean, of course, they were the underdog playing at home in Big 12 play. And Texas Tech, they just beat LSU. I think the market is giving them a little bit too much credit. Everybody's beating LSU. So the Big 12 SEC kind of showdown here, and they look good doing it. But the fact is, I think the Big 12 is a heck of a basketball conference. And Iowa State, a pretty decent team sitting at 15-5 on the year. I think they got a shot to make March Madness, maybe make a run. And Texas Tech is 0-8 in Big 12 play. So are we really going to bet on them, your hard-earned money to win this game at home? They're 1-7 against the spread as well in Big 12 play. I don't think so. I know Iowa State's lost 3 straight against the spread, but still, Prez, they're really good on the defensive end, a top 10 team in terms of defensive efficiency. Defense travels. I'll actually kind of buck this market move here. Give me the Cyclones.
Teddy is mad
I'm not
at
sure
me.
what
Teddy's
what
mad
market
at
move
me.
Prez is talking about, you guys are referring to. I see Iowa State opening -1. I see Iowa State still -1. If the money's coming, it's coming for the road favorite, not the home dog. So I'm not sure what Prez was talking about there. Drew, you've talked about how good you've been. You've talked about this weekend wasn't the best weekend for you, and you're passing today, which is wholly appropriate. Tomorrow's a whole new day, my friend. You and I will be back on the opening line report approximately 15 minutes from now. Anything else you want to say before we let you go?
All good. Thanks for having me on, guys. Love talking with you guys. And Prez, down here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, I see him setting up for the NHL All-Star game. They're going to do something on the beach. Looks pretty cool, man. It's kind of a big ordeal down here. Good for you hockey fans.
Well, enjoy it. I could care less. Drew Martin, everyone. We got ourselves 100+ likes. Daniel's son, cue it up. Okay, guys, there's only one hockey game tonight, and I actually really like this hockey game. It's Winnipeg playing St. Louis. We are getting into All-Star weekend, so there's not a lot of games tomorrow or Wednesday, but I just want to say I love the under in tonight's St. Louis-Winnipeg game. St. Louis is a stone-cold over, 30-15 to the over, but Winnipeg is 14-34 to the under. It's in Winnipeg. I think it's going to be their pace of game. I like under the total in the Winnipeg game. I do want to make mention, everybody, and this is important because Teddy has a 5% play up tonight. It is $9 Mondays. Teddy is 67%. 67 freaking percent in like 2.5 years of play in these 5% plays. He's got it 5% up tonight. Make sure to grab it. It's only $9. If you've never played Teddy, his write-ups are incredible. It makes total sense at $9 to buy this play. It's going to win. You're going to get all the reasons why. Take advantage of that. And as well, I too have 3 NBA plays, 2 NBA plays, and 1 college basketball play up tonight. I am the number 1 most profitable handicapper in hoops this season. Wire to wire, 85 units of profit since day 1 of the season. I got 2 NBA, 1 college basketball. But if you're going to buy 1 play only, it's Teddy's 5%. My brother, take us home.
Oh, Lawrence, you're so sweet. That's going to wrap it for the Monday edition of Wager Talk Today. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same channel, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Stay tuned right here on Wager Talk TV for Drew Martin and myself with the NFL opening line report, Super Bowl style at the top of the hour. And of course, between now and tomorrow's Wager Talk Today, enjoy the games and best of luck with all your wagers.
Lock in all sports, all plays, all 5% best bets from now until Super Bowl 58 on February 11, 2024. From your favorite Wager Talk or Sports Memo handicapper for only $11.99 versus a regular price of $19.99 for a total savings of $800. This limited time super discount basically is 52 weeks at $23 per week, less than the price of one 4% play, coming out to only $3.29 per day. With the cost of a 30-day all-access priced at $2.99, it is almost like getting 8 30-day all-access passes at no additional cost. As an added bonus, your all-access starts immediately, so the sooner you buy before Super Bowl, the more additional days you get for free.